Welcome to Channel 18 News. I'm Jim Rogers. Damian Damon Hart, age 19, of Denison, was arrested Tuesday evening on 3 charges. Hart was a suspect in a burglary of a habitation and motor vehicle at Beckham Street. He was contacted by Sulphur Springs Police Department officer, and Hart falsely identified himself as Darnell Sebastian Franklin with a birth date of May 3, 1994. A short time later, the officer realized he knew the man to be Hart and knew he was pretending to be someone else. He advised Hart that he knew the information was false. Hart then stated his correct name and birth date with the officer. The officer then transported Hart to the Hopkins County Jail, where it was discovered that Hart was hiding narcotics in his shoes. Special Crimes Unit Sergeant Mark Estes found several crushed red pills identified as MDMA or ecstasy. 7 other pills were also found and a clear capsule containing a white substance that tested to be MDMA. Hart now sits on a $26,000 total bond, $15,000 for a third-degree felony possession of controlled substance in a drug-free zone greater than 1 gram but less than 4 grams, $10,000 for a state jail felony possession of a controlled substance in a drug-free zone less than 28 grams, and $1,000 for failure to identify himself by providing false information. The 2016-2017 Lights of Life campaign chairs, Sam and Cher Sevier, announced the campaign and gala theme, the goals and projects, to the committee for the first time in a meeting Tuesday at noon at the Southwest Dairy Museum. The theme of the gala this year, The Beat Goes On. The foundation board set the campaign goal at $250,000 again. On April 5th, the Foundation Board approved 3 projects for the funds generated by the Gala and Lights of Life campaign. An Alter-G anti-gravity treadmill, valued at $46,537, uses NASA differential air pressure technology to comfortably support the user and unweighs them by as much as 80%. Benefits of the machine include reducing ground reaction forces, minimizing discomfort, creating environments safe for the individual to use certain techniques, and allow for increased training with less impact. Estimated to help 70% of the current rehabilitation patients and essential to those with spinal, hip, and lower body issues, the machine will be available for rehabilitation patients as well as for the public. 2 Giraffe Omni beds for a nursery department, valued at $76,584, or a combination system that brings together features of the traditional incubator and a radiant warmer that will serve both premature as well as full-born newborns. These beds will support Level 2 Special Care Nursery designation, allowing the local hospital to care for almost all newborns born at greater than 32 weeks with a range of medical issues rather than being transferred to other hospitals. Also, of that which will be raised, $50,000 will be placed in the endowment fund. This year, Eddie Dean Catering will once again provide the meal for the 550 expected guests, and a silent auction, bidding, and dancing to the music of Downtown Fever will be featured at the gala. Texas Department of Transportation and other officials are encouraging the public to share their opinions and concerns about the future of Interstate 30 in East Texas. I-30 is an important connection for travel and trade, but as the interstate highway system ages and population and trade increases in Texas, it's necessary to assess the current safety and capacity of the highway. The I-30 East Corridor study is being undertaken to identify rural transportation needs along I-30 from Rockwall-Hunt County line to the Texas-Arkansas border. The study area spans 145 miles across 6 counties and lies within TxDOT's Paris and Atlanta districts. For more information regarding the survey of public opinion, see KSSTradio.com. Here's Don Julian with sports.
The Wildcats' main 7-on-7 varsity team lost 2 close games, and the second varsity unit split a pair of games as Gilmer came to town Tuesday to play the Wildcats in 7-on-7 in the multi-purpose building. The Wildcats will be competing in a Gilmer 7-on-7 tournament on Saturday. And I talked about 7-on-7 play with Wildcats offensive coordinator Matt Young.
We ended up having 4 different groups play. Approximately 50 kids for the high school and around 40 kids for the junior high. So 90 kids playing last night, which is great from our standpoint offensively because we're throwing and catching, and that's really the greatest asset that we acquire from 7-on-7. So Gilmer comes to town, perennial state power, talented kids across the board as always. Always a great atmosphere in here. There's fans lining the wall, music's playing, spotlights on, and for us it's a great chance to see some kids that hadn't been in that setting to see how they handle it. Some kids get a little tighter. They play a little nervous. Some of them forget everything they've ever been coached. But really pleased with how we did last night. Our first bunch in the high school lost both games, but I believe both of them were by 3 points. It was just by one interception, which is a really strong showing. Put a lot of points on the board. Ryan Humphreys did a good job moving the offense. Tyler Armstrong did the same when he came in. Simeon Taylor made catches. Tyrese Peters. Landry Tyson, DJ Hall, Certain. I can go down the list. Really excited what some receivers are doing and really some details that are coming out that we're working on that we're allowing them to get open last night and score. As a group, offensively played with a lot of emotion, excited when kids made plays. Coach Abram can talk a little bit about it more defensively, but those guys did a tremendous job. It's always tough when you're out there on islands and all that space and guys making plays. So really pleased with how that turned out and kind of some momentum going from that and seeing some kids make some plays in a big setting. Turned around with our second group. They split both their games. Actually, they may have won the first game. I'm actually not sure. I don't really pay attention a lot to score. I'm really just watching performance stuff. And I know the second game, though, we dominated the second game with them. And really across the board, a lot of great things. DeCorian Young did a really good job spinning the ball for that younger group, along with Connor Nix and Blaine Hohenberger. Did some guys. Jaden Price got us in the end zone. And then a long list of receivers getting catches and seeing guys go up and make plays over people. And just exciting to see it. Guys making a motion. We turn around now. Is that so-and-so? Catching the post, watching from 50 yards away. But just getting excited and going in a big group. Everybody knows what to do. Everybody knows the details of the route and then making plays. So really pleased. Our 8th grade did a good job on the other end. I think we split some games. But really excited with that young group. The 8th grade, that kind of wraps up their 7-on-7. They had a strong showing, losing the championship game at a tournament a couple of weeks ago in Van, and then they finished up last night. They won't play this Saturday. They won't play in Gilmer because 8th grade banquet. We've kind of learned over the years it's best to leave that day alone. But we'll be taking 2 high school teams and then 2 7th grade teams to Gilmer on Saturday as we kind of really get this 7-on-7 stuff rolling.
Anybody, either quarterback or receiver, just kind of coming out of nowhere that's really making some good strides?
Really, it's just the maturing of some guys. A lot of these are familiar names now because we were so young last year, but really like last night what DJ Hall did. He's kind of a senior, he's put in a lot of time. He's a program kid, done everything we asked, and he made some really nice catches. Simeon Taylor, really looking for him to kind of step up now, be a junior. He made some big plays in the end zone. We're still working him back gradually. And just great to see him against that level of competition, make those plays and big catches. And I can go on and on, a lot of guys that just are doing a good job of coming. DJ Abram made some catches. Landry Tyson made some catches. We joked about Cortavius Pruitt. He dropped his first one. It was kind of his first time in the limelight in the big show, but then he came back with about 3 or 4 nice catches later that day. And Matt Reynolds is being a dependable senior on the outside catching balls. So it's really still shaking down how depth's going to be in the fall, and just a lot of guys, whether they're in that game or in that other group, that are just making plays and making nice catches.
7-on-7 football can be like a deck of cards stacked against the defense. Wildcats defensive coordinator Tristan Abram found several defenders who had good nights against Gilmer in 7-on-7 play Tuesday in the multipurpose building, and I talked with Coach Abram.
When it comes to 7-on-7, it's kind of, hey, let's do the best we can and see how much we can slow them down or how often we can keep them out of the end zone. Because for the most part, every in 3 drives, I would expect for an offense to score at least twice. If we stop them once, then I'm great with it because it's so when you have 4 seconds to throw the ball as a quarterback and there's no pressure coming at you, and you don't have to do anything but just make sure your timing's good with your receivers, then it's really unfair for the defense. But it is what it is. It helps us be able to go out and work on our zone coverages and man coverage whenever we can, to make sure we're dropping to the right spots, not covering grass but covering people in areas and things like that. So that's the positive that I get out of 7-on-7. Whenever it comes to to big tournaments and state qualifiers and 7-on-7, they aren't as lenient as we are here. So whenever we get to play Gilmer over here, or we get to go to Gilmer's tournament, then we're allowed to use our hands a little bit more, which is really based off of what we do in the fall, and that's what we want to work towards. So 7-on-7 is man, it's a fun time for Coach Abram every year. But we get to see our kids compete, and I mean they're somewhat they're handicapped in some areas, and it's good to see them overcome those issues and get out and compete and see if they can come up with some interceptions or some PBUs and things like that.
All right. Let's talk about last night, what you saw with your defensive players and how they do.
Well, to be honest with you, what we got is what I expected. Terrell Turman, to name an individual, this young man is he had offseason has been good to him, and he did a good job last year. But this young man he's turning out to be a really special kind of player, as far as my opinion right now. He's had a really good spring, really good spring ball, and then to come out against Gilmer. I mean, everyone knows Gilmer. Gilmer, I told the guys when we got done last night, I said, you saw probably some of the best skill in the state of Texas, and I don't care what classification. Those guys can play. They can run, they can catch, they're really good. And Terrell did a really good job, just to name an individual. Also in the secondary that I thought did well was Trey Dial. Trey did a good job. He's a young man that he's going to be a senior. He doesn't have any varsity experience, but you couldn't tell that last night, and he did a really good job there. We have a couple of young guys in the at the safety position that I thought actually did a really good job. Again, hadn't had much varsity experience, if any. One of them, to name DJ Abram, has had a really good spring. He's playing safety for us right now, and he had a really good night last night. We also have a couple of younger guys, freshman kids. Dodd, young man, he's gonna be a player as well. I can go on and on about him, but just to name him, he had a really good night. Colton Allen's another young freshman that had a good night. Man, there's another one that I was just thinking of that slips my mind. But anyways, those young men, to get out, and like I said, against Gilmer, to go out and play with no fear and get after him was really good. The young man that slipped my mind actually was DeQuarian Pitts. He's another freshman that went out and had a good night. Landry Tyson, another one that just keep coming to mind that. Whenever you're thrown out there and for the lack of better words, when the bullets are flying at you from Gilmer, Texas, and you have guys that can run by you, whenever you're able to get out and keep your composure and do what you were coached to do, then it's really good. And to see those young men get out there and show those things, it was great to see.
I would imagine there'd be a little bit of diversion from all the spring practice, to have another team coming in, and even in a 7-on-7 format, it's kind of interesting to it puts another uniform out there.
Right, and what you said is really big, because we don't coach 7-on-7, and what I mean by that is whenever we get out there in the spring, our coaching is geared more towards the fall. Now, with that being said, the way Gilmer played defense, for instance, yesterday, they kind of have a 7-on-7 defense. Well, I make the statement to the kids all the time, well, Coach Owens isn't going to fire me if we don't win enough 7-on-7 games. He will fire me if we don't win enough games in the fall. So therefore, I'm really focused on that, and we'll do the best we can with 7-on-7. And for the most part, it works out for us really great. We play a lot of teams that they put 7 DBs on the field, and opposed to us, we're going to put our corners and safeties on the field, and then we're going to put linebackers on the field. So we're kind of at a disadvantage, but it's okay. Because it just helps all these guys get experience and like I said, understand where they're supposed to drop in the zone. Hey, you have to cover a running back that's probably faster than you, just to be honest with you. But how are you going to compete in that situation? And nobody backs down from it. And it's really good to see, and you get to see just how those guys react whenever the pressure's on, and they know really the spotlight's on me. So what's going to happen? And for the most part, we haven't had anybody turn it down in all these years, and that's great because it's just a confidence boost, and they understand that good things and bad things happen. Well, how am I going to react whenever something bad happens? And we normally do a really good job of reacting and overcoming that adversity.
Thanks for watching Channel 18 News. Have a great evening.